Okay, good evening, everybody. Call to order the meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals for Vernal Village of Vernon Hills on November 17, 2011. Welcome everybody here. For those of you who are watching, which I always question every time why you'd be watching this, but we are here as a recommending body to the village board. And as a recommending body, we present our case and findings to them. If our findings are unanimous, and that is of 7 out of the 7, which tonight there are 6, so it has to be 6 out of 7, our recommendations go to the village board, and then they are on the omnibus agenda, which will be at the next meeting, which is
December 6th.
December 6th. If the way we vote determines that there's a mix in our vote or a negative vote, it goes in front of the village board on the same night, but it goes on their agenda. What we do is we look at zoning variances within the village on all existing properties. So if it's new, it doesn't go in front of us, but if it's been built, anything that is a variance that can't be worked out has to go in front of us. We then have 3 criteria that we look at according to Illinois law, and those criteria are as follows. First of all, that the property cannot yield a reasonable use in return, that the variance is not granted, and that does not necessarily mean economic return for whatever that may mean. Secondly, that the plight of the owner is due to unique circumstances. And third, that the variance if granted will not alter the character or the essential character of the neighborhood. So that's what we're supposed to do. That's what we're going to be doing tonight. So let's do a roll call, see if we have enough people.
Bauman.
Present.
Cashin.
Here.
Kennedy.
Here.
Newberg.
Here.
Steer. Vandermeulen. And Chairman Putterman.
Here. Note for the record that all of us who are here constitute 6 out of 7, and therefore we have more than a quorum, which is 5. In the event that there was not a quorum, we'd ask the permission of the petitioners to either continue on tonight or to go to another night. Since we have a quorum, I'm assuming everybody wants to go on, which I'm not even going to ask because I know they're all here tonight. Approval of the September 22nd meeting minutes. I assume everybody's read them. Any questions? Motion, please.
I move that we approve the minutes as written.
So moved. Any second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's an easy one. 2 cases tonight. Case 201107 and 201108. This is the first year in a couple of years that we've been as high as 7 or 8 cases. Usually we're in the old days we used to have 40 or 50 cases a year, and now we're back down to 2 or 3, and now we're moving back up again. So it's great. Our first case tonight, 2011-07. Inland Commercial Property Management Incorporated will be representing Gordmans from 701 North Milwaukee Avenue. They're requesting a variation from Chapter 19, Sign Section 19-5, Section 3, to allow 2 private traffic directional signs to be 104.83 square feet in lieu of the maximum permitted size of 3 square feet, and Section 19.5, Section 3, to allow the name of the tenant to be displayed on private traffic directional signs, which is otherwise not permitted. Purpose is to allow 2 private traffic directional signs on the interior of the property. Can we have those who are presenting tonight for Gordmans or for Inland please step forward? Good evening. How are you tonight?
Good.
Good. Please state your name and address for the record, please.
Harvey Swenson,
Okay.
and 110 Sunset Drive, Underwood, Iowa.
And Harvey, who do you represent tonight?
Gordmans.
Gordmans?
Yes.
Okay. Can you raise your right hand? You swear that the testimony you're about to give tonight is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Good, thank you. I always like that because I feel like I'm important when I ask these questions. But truly am not. So if you can, we discussed this before, if you could just please give us an overview presentation of what you're presenting tonight. We have seen all the reports that you have presented to us.
Okay.
And then go ahead and discuss the criteria. We'll ask you some questions.
Yes. As you all know, the position of our building and yield reasonable use and return of variance if not granted because of the location. I mean, you cannot see our building. Every other retailer in that center, you can pretty much, when you drive in, you can see their building. Ours you cannot see. Hence, we would like to expand our signing to include the sides of the present cinema sign, I guess we would call it. And unique circumstances, here again, it's position of the building. We feel that when the guest drives in the building, drives into the parking lot, it's not easily identifiable where we're at. So consequently, the signs that we want positioned would be directional in nature. Currently, this store is trending 65% less sales than our average new store opening, which is, you know, a substantial amount for us. We're, like I say, a 74 store company, and And we're breaking into the market and trying to do our best for everybody here and hope to become, part of the community and long-standing here. And, it was, I guess, what we would call a surprise to us to some degree. But due to the position of the building, we think the directional signs will help. Granted, there are a lot of things that affect, traffic in the area, okay, besides signing. We realize this isn't, because we have these signs, we're instantly going to become, a $10 million store, which we hope to be. But what we do want is to get people into the River Tree Shopping Center, and after you get them there, they need to be, since they cannot see our building, we need to get them to our building, which the directional signs we hopefully will remedy part of that problem for us. Their neighborhood, obviously, it's not, it should remain the same. I don't know, I think, Mike, did you send out a questionnaire to the other tenants? Is that the way did we do that or not?
Well, adjoining property owners within 250 feet were notified.
Okay.
I have,
We'll ask him that question in a few minutes.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. That's okay, no problem.
But anyway, and like I said, it's not just an all-encompassing. Are those signs instantly going to make us successful and get traffic up? No, but I think that combined with what we intend to do in marketing will help us get to what we hope would be a $10 million store. We have a substantial amount, we in Inland, I should say, have a substantial commitment. About a $4 million in furniture, fixtures, and equipment and building, about $3 million in inventory, employed about 100 people. And we, like I said, we anticipate that store being a $10 million store, so.
We all hope so.
Yes, and we need your help to do it, so.
Definitely. We'll do that. Anybody have any questions at this point in time? It's a beautiful store. I've been inside. We have
Good.
shot and spent some money there, so it's great. And I just hope everybody who's watching tonight, as we do for everybody who comes in here, we want to make sure that everybody in the village gets as much cooperation from the village as possible. So we'd like to do that.
We always hope that once somebody visits our building, they become a regular. I mean, we feel that strongly about our concept,
Right.
so.
Yeah, it's different, which is good. There's a lot of the sameness going on everywhere, so it's great. Okay, let's go through this, and we'll see if we have anything for you. The first question is always, we've sent out notices. Have we received anything? Anybody wanted to speak on behalf or against?
no one responded either in favor of nor against the variation request.
Okay. Any discussion from anybody before I ask for a motion? No questions, no discussion. Somebody like to make a motion? John, you love to do that. Go ahead. What? Oh, you don't have your packet? Anybody else want to take a run at it? It should be on your summary sheet. Larry, Mary? I can't do it, so.
I'd like to make a motion.
Oh, there we go. He got it. Okay. Let's be prepared a second.
I move that we grant a variance to allow 2 private directional signs to be 104.83 square feet in lieu of the maximum permitted size of 3 square feet, and to allow the name of the tenant to be displayed on the private traffic directional signs, which is not otherwise permitted.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Second. Thank you. I have a quick question. The sign that is there right now, obviously the shell is already existing, and that's where the theater was. Is this replacing 2 of the 4 side panels, Mr. Building Commissioner?
What was existing there is the sign that you see on the west elevation.
Right. So
That's there, and that replaced the cinema sign. That didn't require a variation because it was just a face change in kind. And then, if I understand
So
your...
this is the north and the south faces
Exactly.
of the sign.
Yeah.
So as you're driving by from the north side, I can understand that, but if you're driving by from the south side, you even see this sign until you're right upon it. And
Yeah,
at that
when
point in time, you turn to your right and you see the sign for Gortman's anyways. So that was my only question, and I wanted to make sure that we've looked at that from the city's perspective of, that even.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, the signs are, the structure itself is set, is in the median of that drive aisle, and it's
Right.
set back from the adjacent retail building,
They
so...
used to advertise the theater, what was showing, and what was going on.
Yeah, exactly, the one on the west. So,
Right.
so these signs, which are on the north or south, are on a structure that's set back from the existing retail building, so you really don't see them until you get right up on the sign. Once you get up there, you see them, but Not until you get in real close proximity can you see them.
So my question is if you're already at that point and you see that sign, I mean, is there anything else that the sign is doing? Are we better off not even having the sign and having the visibility open to Gordman's than we are having the sign there? And wanted to see your opinion.
If I could answer that.
Of course, yeah.
Okay. You still can't see the sign on the building. It's offset,
Okay,
okay, on the building itself. The cinema, their entrance was orientated, if I remember right, to the far.
North.
Is that north? Yes.
Right.
And so when you look down the drive, you would see the cinema. Where our building, they added on to our building when they built that. So we wanted our,
but your door is somewhat central.
it's central, exactly.
Okay.
And like I said, the main purpose of the two signs we want to add are directional in nature. So when you come from and I think it's offset, on the north side, the building comes up, the sign is here, and the building is like right here, they're
Right.
even. And on the other side, the buildings are back somewhat. So when you drive in, you can see the directional, there'll be an arrow, as you've seen
Right.
in the picture, showing where to go to find Gordman's.
Okay. Just so you hear our perspective on this, we have been, over the last, I guess, 20 years since I've been doing this, an anti-sign community. And we have, believe it or not, we are tamed down from where we used to be signage-wise, as far as sign and visibility, et cetera. But we have a lot of retail, and we want to make sure that everybody gets taken care of. So we've tried to lax some of our restrictions with putting multiple names on signs. Matter of fact, the signs that just came out are all been within the last 2 years, and we completely turned those down before that. In light of the fact that the economy's changed, we want to make sure everybody gets what you can. But the more signs and the more names, we find that we get more traffic accidents, more incidents, and more confusion sometimes than we do otherwise. So when I look at a sign from a perspective of guarding the village's rights throughout, we're trying to maintain a consistency and trying to make sure that if you are set back, obviously, your sign, for example, outside your building was substantially in excess of what it should have been, but we realize that. So now the question is, we now have you on the front of a face of a building. We've got two main drive-by signs out on the main roads that has the name on it as well, which does stand out. And originally, we didn't even allot colors. Originally, it was going to be just straight names without any logos, and we allowed that because we know what's been going on. So how much more can we do signage-wise to not interfere with other people's businesses and the distraction of driving around? So again, I'm not answering you to, at this point, ask. I'm trying to set the stage for what's going to come out of question.
I think if you look at a lot of the centers that we're in, and I've looked at probably hundreds of centers, a lot of times you will see, especially in maybe River Tree is fairly limited on this one side.
Right.
But for instance, in Burnsville, Minnesota, there's directionals to us. Okay, so they're not obviously as big as the one we're requesting.
Right.
But it's a directional that has an arrow pointing to get to a Gordman's. This is where you need to go.
Right.
And that's what we're trying to accomplish with this. I think that it has the sign on the front, which is, pretty obvious. I think it shows up very nicely.
Right.
But it still isn't, you're looking at a sign, not a building.
So then when Steinhoffers comes in next week and says, I want a sign next to yours because they're right around the corner from you, then how do I deal with that? And that's, again, that you can't answer, but that's how we look at this, or how I look at it personally. I can only give my personal opinion. I'm not necessarily negative on it. I'm just concerned about, this is the first time we have done this. The only other place we've done it has been in industrial and office buildings when it's come to actual building divisional signage, and those have been 3 square feet, from what I understand.
Didn't we vote on directional signs for River Tree Court at the same time they brought up the monument signs?
Was that-
We originally turned those down.
We turned them down,
And
and the village board approved them.
approved them.
So, right. So again, it's a matter of consistency for me. Again, not necessarily that the village board is going to turn them over. That's all my own issue. And actually, I think that they need it from the north side. Because if you're coming in, the bigger expanse of your parking lot is in the north end, northwest side, sorry. As you're driving down that way, then you can see this sign dramatically. If you're coming around, the only time you see this is when you make that curve around by the bend on the south side. And so you basically have, if my calculations are probably correct, 150 or so square feet, or lineal footage, when you actually see the sign coming around that second bend. So personally, I have no problem with the one on the north side, but doing it both sides is consistent, but just kind of my facts. So if we have a motion and stuff, so it's time for discussion, and I just wanted to start it out. Anybody else? Mary?
Given what you said, is there an alternative to that?
There's always.
I mean, make the sign smaller, move it closer to the north, a direction, you know, what,
You can't move the sign unless
Right.
you want to spend a lot of money.
no,
And
I,
think
no, I'm not,
There's times you don't want to make anybody do that.
right,
You can make the sign inside smaller, but again, if the goal is to see where they're at, is this that big of a deal? I'm not so sure it's that big of a deal. Just putting a sign just for having a sign where very few people see it, that to me then creates an issue when the next person comes by. Because I know that we've got 2 or 3 other tenants in the same perspective. They may be down the road a little bit or across the street a little bit who have the same issue.
right.
And we have to deal from a consistency basis from this board. The village board doesn't necessarily follow that. So I just want to make sure that you think about that. We may all think this is easy and be fine. It's up to all of you.
No, I agree with, especially when you're coming from the south looking, and you won't see it until
Right.
you're right there. And then coming from the north, because the buildings kind of come out and the signs almost set back a little, to me, you don't see it either way until you're almost on top of it.
Right. And I'd almost like to see it on the east side, but then when you're at that point seeing it straight in, that's when you see the Gordman sign on the building. At least that's
Right.
what I saw when I drove.
Right, right.
So that's why we're just trying to think through this.
And
Yeah,
I know, and
right,
I,
right.
you know.
Go ahead.
And I just think that if our address is such that nobody looks at suite numbers, okay?
Right.
Okay, it's 701 North Milwaukee, which will get you anywhere in that
Right.
shopping center. And, you know, what we want to differentiate is if someone's driving around, go, well, you know, where is this Gordman store? You know, well, where's, I see a sign there, but I don't see a building, you know, and then you start looking around at Best Buy and TJ Maxx and wondering where it is. And that's, I guess, the reason I feel that directional signs on those sides would help that way.
You totally understand. I mean, you do have a hardship alone in the fact that that building is located where it is. I mean, that we granted that when we gave the
Yeah, I
variances
know.
to the other signs before. So the question is, again, you know, what everybody's opinion will be on that coming up, which you don't have to state, or you do.
And
Yeah, I don't, when you raised the point that there were going to be other people that had a similar situation, I can't think of anybody that
I know.
has this situation.
I know.
And if we were going to allow them to open retail in that particular site to begin with, it's just my feeling that we should go the extra mile to make sure that, why else would business be down that substantially other than the economic environment that we're facing? But, I mean, those are some pretty significant figures that he's quoting. So it's my feeling that, you know, we should do everything that we can to help out in this case.
Great. Anybody else?
I have
Go ahead, Larry.
comments. It seems to me that if somebody's looking for Gordman's, or if they see the signs out on the main roads, they come in, that shopping center is not that big. It's not like you're driving through miles and miles. You come around the corner and you see the sign. I'm just not sure that, I think that people can find it, I guess is what I'm saying. And plus the size of these, I mean, these are massive signs for a directional. And with the logo and the colors and that, it just seems like we've talked about with accidents and just people looking like this, it just seems way too busy for that small of a center.
And see, my thing is that as big as the sign is, they won't have to look around a whole lot. I mean, they're going to be able to see the direction they need to go. And, you know, and from our point of view, you know, we want to be a successful retailer here, and we want to give that store, that location, every opportunity to make those numbers as we can.
We don't blame you for trying this, so
Okay,
don't.
sure.
don't
I understand.
worry about that. We
Yeah.
support that completely.
Right.
Anybody else want any discussions or talk? All right, let's go to a vote. Roll call, please. Thank you.
Cashin.
No.
Kennedy. Newberg.
Yes.
Steer.
Yes.
Bauman.
Aye?
And Chairman Putterman.
Aye. So we have one negative, which means it goes on the board's agenda. They're going to get a positive recommendation for us. So you'll do the same presentation that night, and they'll hear all our comments. They get, when we go through this, we let them know why we're saying it. They hear everything about it, and then they make their decision based on what we've said, and then you make your presentation again. So,
Thank you very
Great.
much, everyone.
thank you. Case number 2 tonight, case number 2011-08. It's a petition filed by Trista Baker, representing Party City, 555 East Town Line Road. Petitioners request a variance from the Village Code of Ordinances, Chapter 19, sign section 1936, C6, to allow a wall sign to be 114.72 square feet in lieu of the maximum permitted size of 79.5 square feet for the installation of a new wall sign on the front facade of the building. Sir, how are you tonight?
Good, how are you?
State your name, please, and address.
Gary Nicola, 116 Glen Lake, Bolingbrook, Illinois.
Gary, who do you represent?
Party City.
Great. Can you raise your right hand? You swear the testimony you're about to give tonight is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Please proceed.
And we're talking about, we're relocating the Party City over to the Town Line Commons Shopping Center. And we're looking for a variance for the side ordinance that allows 1 linear foot or 1 square foot for the linear footage of the storefront. And our space at the shopping center is pretty narrow. We've only got 80 linear feet. So we're looking for a variance due to the fact that we're set back off of the road and we have outlot buildings in front of us over there on Town Line Road. And our signage with 80 square feet, a little bit smaller than the tenants next to us. So all we're looking for is an increase from 80 to 114 square feet, so that the size of our sign will be a little bit larger and close to what the Office Max and the Gulf Galaxy is next to us. So basically that the signage in the center will be consistent throughout, the part of the center that we're in. Basically, if you look at the facade of the building, our sign that we're proposing is not overbearing. It looks like it fits, just normal, just like the other stores do.
Okay. So the unique circumstance here is the fact that their frontage is smaller than the competing stores. They have a lot of depth, and therefore, if we put the sign in under their size, it would be substantially less in size than the other ones.
That's correct.
And we're just afraid we're going to get lost between the two larger sides of either side of us.
Okay. Any questions? Motion, please. Guess who?
I'd like to make a motion. I move that the board approve a variance for Party City to have a wall sign to be 114.72 square feet in lieu of the maximum size permitted of 79.5 square feet.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Any questions? Everybody's seen the sign itself and the colors and all that, and any questions or discussion about this one?
I have just a
Sure.
comment. I guess it's, when you're measuring the size of this, you're measuring, the tallest letters across, and that's your total size. But if you look at the sign itself, it's, letters and many of them lowercase. I think the overall impression is it's not doesn't appear as big as it really is, I guess. So I'm a little more comfortable with that, I think.
Great, thank you. John?
Well, I have a question for the petitioner, and that is this the same size sign at your current location? Are you moving your sign, or is this one larger?
It's going to be a little bit larger. I'm not sure the size of the other one might be, I'm not sure the height of it, but I know at the other location, because of the spot is a very narrow sign band, I think we're probably limited because of the height of the sign, just because of the design of the shopping center. Because I think that sign on this storefront would look extremely small. You'd probably hardly even see it. And the facade is so big, it would just look, I think, awkward because it'd be so tiny in the middle of that large facade that we have at this new location.
There's also a difference in the distance to the road of the front of this building versus the old one. Is that correct as well? Are they a little farther north where they currently are?
Yeah, I'm not certain,
Because
so.
when you get back to Walmart and the next stores all start going back where the other ones
Oh,
are at the
absolutely.
same distance. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
Where they are now, you've got Milwaukee as well that's visible as well. So you've got more visibility at the current location. The future location doesn't have quite as much.
The future one has more outlets too, where we're blocked by
Right,
the bank,
blocked.
Jared's, and Corner Bakery.
Right.
We've
Yeah,
discussed
I would
that
agree with that.
with Greg's as well, and also the fact is that the landscaping along the highway there
The tree.
has been getting more and more and more mature,
Right.
making some of our rules seem a little tougher than they used to.
Any other questions?
Just a side question. Is this sign already in place?
No. I'm sorry, the sign?
Yes, the sign is already in place. It's not in place.
It is not in place.
Not that I know of.
Well, I can say a permit has not been issued for it. Have you installed the sign at this location? Thank you.
Okay.
No other questions? Roll call.
Cashin.
Aye.
Kennedy.
Aye.
Newberg. Steer. Bauman.
Aye.
And Chairman Putterman.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. It'll be on the omnibus agenda, so thank you very much, and hope you have a nice evening.
Okay, so we need to appear on the 6th also?
You should be there.
Okay, great.
Yeah, it'll be December 6th.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you. Any other business from anybody? Comments, questions? Do we have anything on the agenda coming up for the next one?
No, no, not until I think January. We're just in discussions with Target. They're going through and redesigning all their signs and trying to get consistency. So I think at some point they'll be in front of us for a variation for the logo, but I don't anticipate that until January or February. And I advised them of the long history behind logos in general and that one in particular, but they seem to be
You having a bullseye on the wall that some car can run into?
yeah. So, but they seem to be intent on at least giving it a go. So I'm gonna say that that'll be depending on whether we can get a quorum somewhere towards the end of January or into February. Otherwise, nothing else really.
Just like the size of the bullseye, you think? Or is it?
Yeah, because the bullseye, well, our code says that logos can be no taller than the tallest letter in the lettering,
Yeah.
and they want their bullseye to be taller. So what I did was I gave them information on the Walmart logo that was approved for a variation, I think about a year and a half, 2 years ago now. And that was a variation to have a logo taller than would otherwise be permitted. And I gave them that dimension and told them it's absolutely no guarantee that your variation request would get approved, but here's some guidance for you to consider. So, pardon me?
Macy's, it was,
They wanted a star and,
right. They wanted a huge star. But there was also before that, it was a JC, I mean, it goes way back. Was it JC Penney's or something way back? That
You guys
I
are
think
gonna
it
know
was
better than
Carson.
me now.
Yeah, way back that
Yeah.
Carson's, yeah, deal with all that. And it's just, the sad thing is everybody's searching for ways to get people to their stores and to
Right.
differentiate. This is just gonna keep getting worse and worse.
Yeah.
And I know it's okay to use the economy as a excuse for kind of it, but there will be a time when the economy will get better, and then I just don't want to look like a hodgepodge.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
we should be thankful that Gordman's came in and took that spot because it's a terrible spot.
Right.
But you don't want to just come out and say, "Oh, you guys came in and took a terrible spot, so we should give you everything in the world for it." But we want to help. We did that. So now given more.
A little bit more, man.
So I just really fearful, because I think we all came in with the statement that Route 60 and Milwaukee Road can't be a neon sign of Las Vegas kind of thing. And it's great to have tax revenue, it's great to do all that stuff, but they'll still come and they'll still be here if we stay consistent. The color signs and all the names, I think it gets confusing, but, I actually think the signs look nice, but when you're trying to find something on it, your eye goes to the brightest color or the logo and doesn't go to all the people as it should equally.
Yeah.
So, again, that's part of the people design their logos for.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, and when, the more you have, the more cluttered it looks, and now it's not helping anyone really.
right, that's what I think about all
Yeah.
of that. So, but anyways, since there is no other business we have, I will officially adjourn. Thank you all very much. Have a great Thanksgiving, and if I don't see you all, happy holidays to everybody and a happy New Year. We'll see you all in January.